Quantum shifting is so simple. That's exactly why almost no one understands it. People spend years chasing secret formulas, advanced rituals, and complicated techniques, but the truth has always been hidden in plain sight. What if the very simplicity of shifting is the reason most people miss it? What if your mind is conditioned to believe that something powerful must also be complex, when in reality the power lies in what's most natural, effortless, and obvious? Think about it. We live in a world where effort is glorified. If it looks hard, if it feels heavy, if it sounds complicated, then we believe it must be important. But when something appears too easy, we dismiss it. We overlook it. We call it unrealistic or naive. That's exactly why quantum shifting slips through the cracks of human understanding. It doesn't ask you to climb mountains or memorize endless steps. It simply asks you to step into alignment with the version of yourself that already exists. Now here's where the suspense deepens. What if I told you that everything you desire, your dream life, your new reality, your better self, is not something you must chase, but something that's already here, right now? Every possible version of you exists in what some call the quantum field, a space of infinite potential. You don't create these versions, you simply choose, and choosing is far simpler than the human mind wants to admit. But here's the twist. Your conscious mind resists that truth. Why? Because the ego loves complication. It thrives on puzzles and obstacles. It wants you to keep seeking, keep striving, keep believing that the answer is far away. The ego tells you that you must earn the right to shift, that only the chosen few can unlock the code. And as long as you believe that, you'll keep chasing and never arriving. In this video we're going to strip away that illusion. You'll see why simplicity feels so threatening to the mind and how that very resistance is what keeps people stuck in their old timelines. You'll learn the hidden difference between the signal you send with your conscious thoughts and the dominant signal your subconscious broadcasts every moment. Most people don't even realize that this quiet, consistent signal is the true force shaping their reality. By the end you'll understand that quantum shifting is not about doing more. It's not about working harder or forcing results. It's about doing less, letting go, and allowing yourself to fully step into alignment. And once you grasp this, you'll see how unnecessary struggle has been all along. So stay with me until the end. Because this isn't just theory, it's a revelation. A new way of seeing yourself. A shift in understanding that can change everything you know about manifesting reality and who you really are. The truth is simple, and that's why it's been hiding from you in plain sight. Are you ready to see it? Then let's begin. Before we talk about why quantum shifting seems so simple yet so misunderstood, we need to first clear up what people usually mean when they use the term. For many, shifting is about moving into a different timeline. It's the idea that you don't just change little things in your life, you step into a whole new version of reality. Imagine a life where your struggles are gone, where your desires are fulfilled, and where you feel fully aligned with the person you've always wanted to be. That's the picture people often hold when they hear about shifting. It's not just improving what already exists. It's stepping sideways into another stream of possibility that's already running in the background of existence. This concept of a different timeline is fascinating because it suggests that all realities exist at once. In this way of thinking, there isn't only one fixed path for you. Instead, infinite versions of you are already out there, each one living a slightly different life. Quantum shifting is about choosing which of those versions you want to inhabit. To some it sounds almost like science fiction, but the idea resonates deeply with those who believe in infinite possibilities. It's like walking into a library of realities and selecting the book you want to live in rather than rewriting the one you already have. Now this is where many people confuse quantum shifting with manifesting or the law of attraction. While these ideas share common ground, there are important differences. Manifesting is usually described as the act of bringing something new into your existing reality. You imagine it, you focus on it, and over time you attract it into your life. The law of attraction builds on this principle, suggesting that like attracts like. If you hold positive thoughts and high energy, you pull in experiences that match that vibration. In both cases, you're still working within your current timeline, influencing and shaping it by using your focus, emotions, and beliefs. Quantum shifting, however, shifts the frame entirely. Instead of waiting for your current life to change, it claims that you can step into a life where that change has already happened. It's not about pulling abundance toward you over time, it's about entering the version of yourself that already lives in abundance. This subtle but powerful distinction is why so many people are drawn to the idea. It promises a more immediate, more radical transformation. Of course, when you compare them side by side, you can see how the lines blur. Manifestation and the law of attraction ask you to gradually align with your desires so they show up here and now. Shifting asks you to recognize that those desires already exist somewhere else, and that your job is to move your awareness to that place. Both require belief, both require focus, but shifting challenges you to accept that you don't need to create what you want. It's already real, just waiting for you to claim it. This difference is why some people feel frustrated when they only practice manifestation techniques. They keep waiting, affirming, visualizing, and hoping. Shifting flips the script and says, stop waiting, stop hoping, step into it now. The power, according to this perspective, doesn't lie in endless repetition but in a decisive act of identity. You stop trying to become, you simply are. And that simple idea is what makes shifting both alluring and so easily misunderstood. When people first hear about quantum shifting, they often get caught in the maze of mystical vocabulary. Words like timelines, dimensions, vibrations, portals, and frequencies get thrown around so casually that it can feel like you've stepped into another language. For someone just starting out, it can sound mysterious, even magical. And while the language is meant to inspire wonder, it also has a way of making the whole process seem more complicated than it really is. Instead of helping people connect to the simplicity of shifting, it often creates distance. People start believing that unless they fully understand these terms, they can't shift. The truth is, the words are symbols. They point to experiences, but they are not the experience itself. On top of the heavy vocabulary, there's the overwhelming number of techniques. Once someone begins searching for answers, they are flooded with methods, vision boards, affirmations, scripting exercises, guided meditations, subliminal audios, lucid dreaming, energy work, and the list goes on endlessly. Each method promises to be the one, each one claims to be the key to finally stepping into a new reality. But instead of making things clearer, this abundance of choice often leaves people frozen. Which one should you do? Do you need all of them? Are you missing something important if you don't try every single practice? Vision boards, for example, are meant to keep your desires in front of your eyes, to train your mind to accept them as real. Affirmations are supposed to reshape your beliefs through repetition. Scripting tells you to write out your new life as if it's already happening, to lock the feeling into your subconscious. Energy work takes it a step further, encouraging you to move your focus beyond the mind and into the unseen forces around you. None of these tools are wrong. In fact, they can be powerful if used with the right understanding. But the problem comes when people treat them as complicated steps in a rigid formula, rather than as optional aids to support a very simple shift in awareness. Adding to the confusion is the wide range of conflicting voices that claim authority on the subject. The internet is full of teachers, coaches, and self-proclaimed gurus who insist their path is the only real way. One will tell you to meditate for hours each day. Another insists all you need is 5 minutes of clear focus. Some say shifting is instant, while others say it takes weeks or months of preparation. For someone genuinely seeking answers, this creates chaos. It's like trying to follow 10 different maps to the same destination, each one drawn with a completely different set of instructions. What ends up happening is that seekers spend more time jumping between methods and mentors than actually practicing the core essence of shifting. They chase the next secret technique, hoping the missing puzzle piece is hidden in another video, another book, or another course. In reality, the more they pile on, the further they drift from the truth that shifting is not about doing more. It's about doing less and focusing on the one thing that truly matters. The mystical words, the endless techniques, and the clashing guidance from gurus only cloud that simplicity, making people believe that unless it feels hard it must not be working. At the heart of quantum shifting is a bold idea: everything is already possible. The life you dream about isn't something you need to create from scratch. It's not waiting to be built through years of struggle and hard work. According to this perspective, it already exists right now in a different layer of reality. Every outcome you can imagine has already unfolded somewhere, and every version of you that you could become is already alive in that space. What this means is that the future isn't something you're chasing, it's something you're selecting. This is often described as the field of potential, a vast landscape where every timeline is running side by side. In one timeline, you're living exactly the life you have now. In another, you're wealthier, happier, healthier, or in a different relationship. In yet another, you've made completely different choices and ended up somewhere else entirely. To think of it this way, reality is not fixed. It's fluid, it's layered. All of these possibilities are like channels on a television, already broadcasting. The question isn't whether the channel exists, it's whether you are tuned into it. And this is where alignment comes in. You don't shift into a new timeline by forcing, begging, or endlessly asking. You shift by matching the frequency of that version of you. Alignment is the bridge. It's the process of bringing your feelings, beliefs, and expectations into harmony with the reality you want to experience. If you think of yourself as a radio, you can't hear a station unless you're tuned to its exact frequency. The signal might be there, strong and clear, but if you're even slightly off, all you'll get is static. Your feelings are the emotional charge that broadcasts your state to the field. If you want abundance but constantly feel lack, your signal is not aligned with wealth, it's aligned with scarcity. Your beliefs are the silent agreements you hold with reality. If you affirm abundance but deep down believe you're not worthy of it, your subconscious is still tuned to the old channel. And your expectations act like the final lock. They set the stage for what you're willing to receive. Expect failure, and you'll live in a timeline where failure repeats. Expect success, and you move toward the version of you who already succeeds. Alignment doesn't mean you never have doubts or struggles. It means that your dominant state, your overall tone of being, matches the This is where most people miss the point. They focus on external effort, on doing more techniques or chasing signs, but they never stop to ask whether their inner world is truly in sync with their desired outcome. Alignment is quiet, but it's powerful. It's not about controlling the outside world. It's about reshaping your inner compass so that your path naturally bends toward the reality that's already waiting for you. One of the biggest reasons people get confused about quantum shifting is because of the misconceptions that surround it. The first one is the belief that having a strong desire automatically causes a shift. People think that if they just want something badly, reality will bend to their will, but desire alone is not enough. In fact, intense desire can sometimes do the opposite. When you want something too strongly, you can create a feeling of lack. You send out a signal that says, "I don't have this yet," and that vibration keeps you anchored to the very timeline you're trying to leave. Desire is useful as a starting point. It shows you what you care about, but it has to be transformed into alignment before it can move you. Another common misunderstanding is the idea that high vibes alone will do all the work. You hear it everywhere: raise your vibration, think positively, and everything will fall into place. While maintaining a lighter, more positive energy can definitely help, it isn't the whole picture. You can feel good for a few hours, but if your deeper beliefs are still rooted in fear, scarcity, or self-doubt, then the momentary high won't sustain a shift. High vibes without inner change are like painting over cracks in a wall. It looks good on the surface, but the structure underneath hasn't been repaired. Shifting requires more than a temporary lift in mood. It requires a deeper shift in who you believe you are. Then there's the tendency to focus on external results first. Many people look for signs that their shift is happening by scanning the outside world.
Did the money come in yet? Did the relationship show up? Did the opportunity knock at my door today? When they don't see quick results, they start doubting and losing faith. The truth is, focusing too much on the outside world keeps you trapped in your current reality. The shift begins inside. External changes are the echo, not the cause. By looking for proof too soon, people anchor themselves to the old story, instead of allowing the new story to unfold. Finally, one of the deepest obstacles is ignoring the role of emotional and subconscious programming. The subconscious mind is like a powerful engine, running beliefs and patterns that you may not even realize are controlling your life. You can say affirmations out loud every day, but if your subconscious still holds on to the belief that you are unworthy or unsafe, then your signal to the universe is mixed. Emotional wounds, childhood conditioning, and repeated patterns of thought are often the invisible anchors keeping people stuck. Until you address them, you're trying to shift with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. Understanding these misconceptions is crucial because they reveal why so many people feel stuck, even when they're trying everything they've been told. Shifting isn't blocked because it's impossible. It's blocked because people rely on surface-level practices while ignoring the deeper alignment that actually creates movement between timelines. A major reason shifting feels out of reach for so many people is because they skip or avoid the inside work. It's much easier to focus on surface practices, writing affirmations, visualizing for a few minutes, or making a vision board, than it is to face the patterns that run quietly in the background of the mind. The inside work requires honesty. It asks you to look at the fears you've buried, the beliefs you've inherited, and the doubts you secretly carry. Many avoid this because it feels uncomfortable. They want quick results without addressing the deeper foundation, but without that work, the shift cannot hold. The old patterns will always pull you back. This is why beliefs and emotions carry far more weight than conscious wants. You can say you want abundance, but if you feel unworthy, your emotions speak louder than your words. You can affirm that you are loved, but if deep inside you expect rejection, that expectation shapes your reality more than your spoken desire. The conscious mind is like the surface of the ocean, loud, visible, and always moving. But the subconscious, with its beliefs and emotional memory, is the deep current underneath. And it is the current, not the surface waves, that determines where you really end up. That's why so many people get frustrated. They put effort into what they say or think consciously, but they don't see change because the deeper programming hasn't shifted. Inner alignment is hard because most people live in a constant mix of habits, thoughts, and feelings that are not working together. One part of the mind says, "I want this," while another part whispers, "It's impossible." The body might carry stress from old experiences that conflict with the new story the person is trying to tell. Habits formed over years reinforce the old identity, even when the person is trying to step into a new one. This inner conflict creates static. It's like trying to tune a radio to one station while 3 other stations are bleeding through in the background. The result is noise, not clarity. And without clarity, shifting doesn't happen smoothly. The challenge is that coherence, when your thoughts, feelings, and actions are aligned, is not something that happens by accident. It requires awareness. It requires practice. You have to notice when your body tenses at the thought of change. You have to catch the small doubts that slip in when you imagine something new. You have to see how your daily habits quietly reinforce the reality you're trying to leave behind. When all of these are left unexamined, they pull against your conscious effort, making the shift feel distant. This is why so many people try for weeks or months and then give up. They think the method doesn't work. They think the universe is ignoring them. But the truth is simpler. The inside work hasn't been done, and without coherence, no amount of surface effort can carry you into a new When we talk about shifting into a new reality, we can't avoid looking at the different layers that make up our inner world. The first and perhaps most powerful layer is belief. Beliefs are the silent rules you live by, often without realizing it. They form the lens through which you see everything. If you believe that money is hard to earn, then every opportunity will feel like a struggle. If you believe love always ends in pain, then every relationship will seem fragile. Beliefs don't just describe your world, they shape, and because many of them were formed years ago, they often feel invisible, like background noise. Yet they are the foundation of the reality you experience. Emotions are the second layer, and they carry an even more immediate force. While beliefs guide the story you tell yourself, emotions fuel the signal you send out: joy, fear, hope, frustration. Each one radiates through your body and influences the timeline you match with. You might consciously affirm abundance, but if you feel anxious every time you think about money, the emotion outweighs the affirmation. Emotions are not just passing moods, they are indicators of alignment. They tell you whether the reality you're tuned into is in harmony with what you say you want, or completely. The body adds another dimension. Your physical sensations hold memory. Tension, fatigue, or even the way you breathe can reflect your inner state. When your body is locked in stress, it sends signals that reinforce survival patterns rather than growth. That's why practices like meditation, breathing exercises, or mindful movement are often recommended, not because they magically shift you, but because they bring your body into harmony with the reality you want to experience. When the body relaxes, it supports the emotions. When the emotions soften, they support new beliefs. Every part is connected. Daily habits and patterns are the structures that keep you rooted in a particular version of reality. The way you start your morning, the thoughts you repeat throughout the day, the conversations you engage in, all of these reinforce who you are. If your habits match your old self, you stay in your old timeline. If you begin to embody the habits of the version of you who already lives the life you want, you create. This is why even small changes, when done consistently, are so powerful. They rewire the identity you live by. Finally, expectations act as the invisible ceiling or doorway for your shift. Expectation is not just hope, it's the quiet assumption about what's coming. If you expect disappointment, you will unconsciously move toward it. If you expect success, you naturally prepare for it and welcome it when it arrives. Expectation creates the stage for reality to unfold. It decides whether you meet your new life with open hands or closed fists. Together, belief, emotions, body signals, habits, and expectations form the complete picture of your alignment. They are not separate parts. They are the living system that either anchors you to your old reality or moves you into a new one. One of the clearest signs that you're still living in the old timeline is the appearance of repeating patterns. You might notice that the same problems show up again and again, just in different forms. The faces change, the jobs change, the situations look new on the surface, but underneath it feels like déjà vu. This is not random. It's your inner programming, replaying itself, showing you what still needs to shift. Until you change the belief and emotion fueling the pattern, life has no choice but to keep handing you the same lesson in different packaging. It can be exhausting, but it's also revealing. Patterns are mirrors, and they show you where your signal is still tuned to the old channel. This often leads to the heavy feeling of being stuck, even when you feel like you've tried everything. You meditate, visualize, repeat affirmations, create vision boards, listen to subliminals, and maybe even follow multiple techniques at once, and yet the results feel distant or inconsistent. That sense of frustration can grow into doubt, leaving you wondering if shifting is it. What's really happening is that surface level effort cannot override the deeper alignment issue. You can pour energy into endless practices, but if your core expectation hasn't changed, your outer world won't either. That's why it feels like spinning your wheels, lots of movement, but no progress. Another powerful indicator of being locked in the old reality is inner conflict between what you say and what you truly believe. On the surface, you may declare, I am abundant or I am worthy. But deep down another voice whispers, no you're not. This clash creates static in your energy. It's like trying to drive a car with one foot pressing the gas and the other pressing the brake. You move forward, then stall, then move forward again, only to fall back into the same place, until your inner voice agrees with your outer words. The conflict keeps you tied to the timeline where your old beliefs rule, and with that conflict comes resistance, anxiety, and doubt. Resistance shows up as procrastination, self-sabotage, or the urge to quit right before a breakthrough. Anxiety arises when you're afraid to let go of the old story because at least it feels familiar. Doubt creeps in when you can't see instant results, convincing you that nothing is working. These emotions aren't random. They're protective mechanisms of the ego. The ego resists change because change threatens its control. It would rather keep you in a known struggle than allow you to step into an unknown possibility. Recognizing these signs is not about blaming yourself. It's about understanding that being stuck doesn't mean failure. It simply means your alignment isn't complete yet. The repeating patterns, the stuckness, the conflict, the resistance, these are signals pointing you toward the exact places where you still need to shift internally. They are not punishments. They are invitations to step into a new frequency and finally align with the reality that's been waiting for you all along. The real shift begins when you choose to align first internally. Instead of chasing external validation or waiting for signs to confirm that things are working, you start with your own inner state. Alignment is about coherence. Your thoughts, emotions, body, and expectations moving in the same direction. When you feel that unity inside, the outside world naturally begins to if you focus only on changing circumstances without addressing the internal state, the old patterns keep resurfacing. But once you prioritize inner alignment, you set the frequency that everything else tunes into. This is why small consistencies are often more powerful than massive leaps. Transformation doesn't need to be dramatic or all the way. It's not about forcing yourself into a new life overnight. It's about gentle, steady choices that accumulate over time. Choosing new thoughts when the old ones show up. Practicing calm when fear arises. Honoring a new perspective in your daily routine. These small actions are signals to your subconscious, proving that you are serious about the shift. Over time, these repeated signals rewrite the old programming. 1,000 tiny steps in alignment carry more weight than one giant leap fueled by desperation. Embodying the version of you and the reality you want is the key to bridging the gap. You don't wait until you have the relationship, the money, the success or the peace. You begin to carry yourself as if you already. That doesn't mean pretending or faking. It means asking, how would that version of me think, feel and act today? If your desired version of self is calm, confident and grateful, then you practice those states now. By embodying them, you close the distance between where you are and where. The universe doesn't respond to what you say you want, it responds to who you are being. The hardest part for most people is believing now, not later. The natural habit is to wait until evidence arrives before fully trusting, but that mindset keeps you stuck in the loop of waiting. Belief is the doorway. Once you step through it, the evidence follows. If you hold back belief until something shows up, you're signaling doubt, which only delays results. True alignment means you believe in your chosen reality now, in the absence of proof. That belief itself is what allows the proof to appear. When you choose inner alignment, commit to consistent actions. Embody your desired version, is the vision, and belief. Without needing evidence first, you stop chasing reality and start creating it. The shift becomes natural, not forced. You begin to see how everything unfolds as a reflection of who you've already chosen to be. It's not about waiting for a miracle to happen. It's about realizing that the miracle begins the moment you decide to align with it fully. right here and right now. Before you go, try one small step today. It doesn't have to be big. It could be writing a few lines in your journal about how you feel. It could be noticing what belief keeps showing up in your mind. Just one small step can start the process of shifting everything. Take a moment and ask yourself, what belief do you most want to shift right now? Share it in the comments below. You'll be surprised how powerful it feels to simply name it. If this message spoke to you, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. There's so much more we'll explore together, and your journey is just beginning.